Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, and this is your host, Grady Hooker. We'll jump straight into this day in history for the 18th of October. We'll run down the shows first. It was a WWF Raw in 1993. The show ended when Crush ended up turning villain all over Randy Savage. Then 1999 we had a WCW Nitro where Goldberg nailed a spear and a jackhammer to defeat Lex Luger in the main event. Same time over on Raw, the Hollies defeated the Rock and Sock Connection to win the WWF Tag Team Championships. In 2004 there was a WWE Raw where the main event was a triple threat match. Edge ended up winning the match and HBK injured his leg and I believe he was out for a little while after that one. In 2010 there was another Raw, lots of Raws. John Cena was forced by Wade Barrett in the Nexus to do some things he didn't want to do because he lost the pay-per-view match. And in 2012, TNA Impact, TNA versus Aces and Eights, Sting versus Devon. The match fell apart, classic Aces and Eights match, but Bully Ray and Team TNA stood tall at the end of the show. Going through for pay-per-views in 1998, WWF Judgment Day, Kane versus The Undertaker for the vacant WWF Championship, where Stone Cold Steve Austin was the special guest ref. Austin didn't count the 3 count properly and messed up the match, so Vince uttered his famous words for the first time, "You're fired." And in 2009, TNA Bound for Glory. In the main event, AJ Styles managed to defeat Sting to retain his TNA Championship in a match that was voted by the fans as Match of the Year. So now we'll jump into our classic entrance theme of the week. I think you know whose it is. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. This is Grady Hooker, and live via Skype right now I've got Josh.
Howdy.
And we'll jump straight to Raw. Stephanie McMahon comes out and calls out the Big Show.
For his nefarious deeds the previous night.
Yep. And he says that Stephanie told him to knock out Daniel Bryan.
Of course, Stephanie played the card that they weren't even there.
They've got Brad, though.
Yeah, Brad Maddox was hired by Stephanie and Triple H. And is pretty much in the back pocket of Vince McMahon.
He's in everybody's pocket. He's like a cell phone.
I'm not sure what's going on with him, honestly. It kind of looks like sometimes that he's, like, trying to go against the authority. Sometimes it looks like he's just passively going along with what they say. Because sometimes he looks kind of like where you get some confusion about Triple H. Sometimes you kind of get the same stuff with the Raw general manager.
Fair enough. Jumping back to Big Show, she actually fired him.
That was a shock here, a little bit. I wasn't expecting him to fire him. I was expecting him to try to humble him.
I gotta go with the crowd here. Knock her out. Knock her out.
And while she was talking, I was like that as well, because I kind of wanted to see it. But then again, I kind of had allusions to when AJ was with quotation marks Daniel Bryan and got crushed by the Big Show.
Yeah.
But you knew Big Show was not going to be done for the night.
Nah.
Even though he walked out on his own power and stuff.
As we see later on.
You didn't know what it was going to do, but you knew it was going to be something impactful.
Okay, so we'll segue into a rematch from the pay-per-view. Dolph Ziggler took on Damian Sandow.
Not sure why they did a rematch, especially when they didn't change the outcome. But it was a good match.
Yeah. Again, Damian Sandow falling to the curse of the chocolate case.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is only be to try to build up Ziggler a little bit.
Maybe.
And maybe it'll make Sandow cash in at Hell in a Cell that much more shocking.
Well, didn't Sandow say that he wanted to cash in, but Ziggler ruined him?
Yeah, he said he wanted to cash in the previous night after the hardcore match, but his knee was injured by Ziggler, so he was unable to do the cash in.
Yeah, okay. Well, jumping forward, talking about Brad Maddox, it doesn't look like Stephanie McMahon's that happy with him.
No, because let's see, the Rhodes one, there was a blackout, which was a legitimate blackout, by the way.
Yeah.
The arena lost power for 7 minutes.
It's not like The Undertaker was coming out or anything.
No. He brought back Scott Armstrong, who was fired by Triple H, and Big Show came out and ruined the main event.
Well, to his credit, he did come out and apologize.
Yeah, that was something he did. But it kind of gave me a feeling that Maddox was actually taking orders from somebody other than Triple H and Stephanie.
Maybe. We haven't seen Vince in a while, but he
We have not seen him since the whole celebratory celebration with Randy Orton after the SummerSlam main event.
He did set a rematch, Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton at Hell in a Cell in Hell in a Cell with a special guest ref.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Just a little bit.
I'm not sure. Maybe some. I don't know. I don't know. It just sounds familiar.
Might as well talk about them all. He set the there were 3 people, and you got to vote on them for WWE Active. You had Booker T, Bob Backlund, and Shawn Michaels.
And each one proceeded to cut a promo on why you should vote for them.
And Bob Backlund is still nuts.
Bob Backlund will be nuts until the day he dies.
Yep. I think going into this, everybody knew Shawn would win.
Yeah. But apparently, from what I heard, until it was almost the last minute that the big pull away happened. Until then, it was really close, from what I heard.
It was a record-breaking landslide in the end. We'll run our way back up the card. There was actually a Divas match. Alicia Fox, Oksana, and Rosa Mendez took on Natalia, JoJo, and Eva Marie.
Yeah,
Just skip it.
This was not a good match, even with Natalia in it. I'm sorry, but Eva Marie cannot wrestle. And JoJo better be glad that she didn't get in the ring, because I don't think it would have been much better.
Yeah. So it was really Natalia taking on the other 3.
Yeah, it was basically a 3-on-1 handicap match. But the 1-1.
Yeah. What do you expect? It's Natalia. The next match was Los Matadores taking on 3MB.
Kind of getting tired of seeing Los Matadors beat up on 3MB already.
Come on, you got the little bull attacked Heath.
That was awesome, though. El Torino is awesome. He makes the whole team. And yeah. I am still interested, but I want to see them move on past 3MB. The same way we wanted to see the Wyatt family move past Tons of Funk.
Fair enough. When we jump over to SmackDown, we can talk about their next victims. But on here, the Haman guys came out and actually cut a promo against Punk.
Yep. It was kind of odd because, obviously, because Haman's guy lost the night before.
Yeah.
It may not have been completely legal, but he still lost.
And R-Truth ended up coming out to even the odds between the 3 of them.
Naturally. I guess it had something to do with the Intercontinental Championship down the line. I don't know. Because it doesn't make much sense to me, especially with Axel completely decimating R-Truth.
Well, see, if I look into my crystal ball, I can tell you in about 8 minutes we'll probably be talking about SmackDown, where the Intercontinental Championship was on the line between those 2.
And it's something else I don't understand.
We'll get there. The next match was Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton.
Kind of reminded me of the old Kofi Orton feud from 2010.
Yep.
End of 2009, beginning 2010. Where Kofi was on the verge of breaking that glass ceiling that held him down. And then all of a sudden, Randy Orton comes through and says, no.
Pretty much. But Bryan did get the best at the end of the match.
Yeah. That's something I've been liking, is that they've started to give Bryan an avenue to get over on the Authority.
Yeah.
That it's not been him getting absolutely decimated as the entire locker room watches every week.
Fair enough. The next piece was sort of a weird segment between Vicky and Alberto.
Really, all it did was to set up a later segment to much of the chagrin of our World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, setting up Alberto versus Ricardo Rodriguez, but the shock announcement at the start that John Cena is going to return at Hell in a Cell.
2 months early from his elbow surgery. And the World Heavyweight Championship champion lost to Ricardo Rodriguez, a ring announcer.
Yep.
WWE needs Cena, whether we like him or not, for his personality or his character. WWE does need him, and you cannot bring him back for the WWE Championship, because that's been in between Orton and Bryan, and you can't have Cena step on that.
Fair enough.
So we've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks the World Heavyweight Championship has meant nothing. Well, when you have the face of the company, regardless of what you think, Randy Orton, John Cena is the face of the company.
He's the face of Fruity Pebbles.
That too. But when you have him in the match, that's going to elevate the World Heavyweight Championship match. It's going to make it more important.
Fair enough.
It's not going to make it more important than the WWE Championship, because that is always going to be the number one championship.
Yeah, well, straight after that, it went into a match with Fandango taking on your oh-so-favorite wrestler.
Woo! Fandango! I'm happy Fandango beat the crap out of Zack Ryder.
Great match, but only because Fandango won. But then there was another rematch. The Real Americans took on Santino and Khali.
Yeah, this was really just to get that big swing in front of 3.5 million viewers instead of the 50,000 that watched Battleground.
Fair enough. Hornswoggle actually took a Cesaro swing as well.
That was really the whole purpose of this match, was just to get that swing over more. And that swing is beautiful. Fair
enough. After that, though, we've got a Miz TV segment. You can't really... Segment.
Yeah, it was kind of cut off by the Wyatt family.
I think just before the ad break, I think they said Miz TV was going to have the guest being Miz. Not sure if I heard that right. It seemed a bit weird.
Yeah. I'm guessing the Miz was supposed to do something with Orton, because they showed the WWE rewind of him being beaten up in front of his parents by Orton.
Oh, yeah.
And then he starts to do the show, and then the Wyatt family comes out.
Pretty much
and
the end.
That pretty much opens up a path for a match between Miz and Bray Wyatt.
As long as Bray heals up really fast.
Yeah, I'm guessing it probably have to be at Survivor Series, because in case anybody didn't know, Bray got hurt his calf in a house show this past weekend.
Ouch. Well, talking about The Miz, we'll jump into our current entrance theme of the week.
Awesome! I came to play. There's a price to pay.
And you're back, Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady, Hooker, and Josh. We'll jump into where we were. Triple H is going to be ringside for the six-man tag match.
Yeah, they had a little promo that kind of did a little foreshadowing for the end of the show. Mainly, they're still Triple H and Stephanie are still blaming Maddox for everything that happened at Battleground, and Triple H basically says, "I'm going to make sure nothing happens."
Well, he kind of did. The Shield lost by DQ, and then Triple H restarted the match as a no DQ match, and from that point on, you knew something was going to happen.
But the match itself ended right away with the Shield decimating Daniel Bryan and pinning him.
Yeah.
But then, out of nowhere, the Big Show's theme plays, and his Titantron comes up, and he comes out and shocks everybody. The Shield starts to get over on him, and then he just absolutely wipes them out by himself.
Yep. Had his Superman moment.
And then he gets into the ring where Triple H happens to be standing, loads up his right hand, and pow! Down goes Triple H! Down goes Triple H!
It was a great ending. We'll jump over into SmackDown. We had the opening segment.
Something we've been calling for a while was somebody to knock out Triple H.
Yeah. The opening segment of SmackDown was Vicky Guerrero again with Alberto Dario.
More and more awkwardness here.
The only thing,
and you're still not sure where Vicky stands as far as a GM.
Yeah. What saved this segment was Damian Sandow.
Yeah. Sandow's awesome, and I really cannot wait until he wins the World Heavyweight Championship.
Fair enough. Well, the match you said you didn't know why it was happening, the Intercontinental Championship match, R-Truth took on Curtis Axel.
Which was a Battleground rematch.
Wow. Why don't they just call this Battleground 2.0?
Yeah. And nothing changed.
Nothing at all. Oh, weirdos.
I don't understand if they're going to keep the title on Curtis Axel, try to make it interesting.
Fair enough.
You can't have him beat the same person twice in a row for the same title and not really have it mean anything.
Talking about interesting, Los Matadores take on Los Locals.
Yes, and Los Locals looked vaguely familiar to me.
These guys were like, I swear, one of them I've seen talking a lot, maybe into a microphone, and one of them doing a lot of flips and injuring himself.
Yeah, one of them looks like Ricardo Rodriguez.
Nah.
That
couldn't have been him.
Ricardo Rodriguez is a ring announcer. He's not a wrestler.
Well, he won on Raw.
And the other looked like somebody who I thought had a broken leg. Tyson Kidd.
Nah. These are just two randoms they've put in masks. They're locals, man. Can you not read their names?
They're the local guys.
Los Local 1 and Los Local 2. Either way, you got your wish. Los Matadors took on someone else.
Yep. And they got hit that really nice double Samoan drop move.
And I think they actually hit it twice. I think they hit it after the match when it became a triple team when El Torito got into it and attacked Kid. I mean Los Local 2?
A Bull of Corona. And a Bull of Time, as JBL called them.
Yeah. Coming up to the next piece, again, Brie Bella and the Funkodactyls took on Natalya, Kaitlyn, and Eva Marie.
Just one giant... What?
Hey, they took JoJo off the apron.
But still put Eva Marie in the match. And I don't quite understand why it's bringing Naomi and Cameron on one side and Natalia, Kaitlyn, and Eva Marie on the other. With Kaitlyn having nothing to do with Total Divas. I mean, that's the first time we've seen Kaitlyn since she lost the Divas Championship.
Yeah, I think the main thing here is that this is the week that AJ was out with her concussion, wasn't it?
Yes.
So they had to give us some Divas action without our champion laying around. And instead they gave us Eva Marie.
Yeah.
Well, coming on to the next match, Damian Sandow took on Alberto Dario.
It was a decent match, maybe a preview to a future match.
I think the future match will be a lot shorter.
Possibly. I'm actually referring to the rematch.
Oh. So you're not talking about Sandow finally eating his briefcase?
Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't done a segment where Ryback or Mark Henry doesn't randomly try to eat his briefcase.
Fair enough. Straight after that, though, we got 3MB back in action. This time against Primetime Players and the Great Khali.
Still not sure what they're doing with the Primetime Players.
Well, they're sitting there, they're wrestling, and they're getting their millions of dollars. Millions of dollars.
But it doesn't seem like they're going anywhere. And it looks like they were so ready for prime time. When, pun intended, by the way.
Yep.
When they challenged the Shield for the tag titles.
And now they're new.
Yeah, they're back where they were beforehand.
The main event of the night, this is the second time Cody Rhodes and Goldust have been in the main event. They took on the Wyatt family.
This was a pretty good tag match. And with and it's interesting that a tag team match would be the end of SmackDown without it involving a world champion or a world champion candidate.
You never know. Cody Rhodes or Goldust could be getting some gold around their waist. Maybe some bronze.
Maybe. Still wondering what they're going to do with the Usos, who are still floating out there somewhere over the horizon. Have you forgotten us?
Hopefully someone finds them and brings them back to the WWE. Might offer a reward. # where's Drew?
Who knows? But it was interesting that the Wyatt family suffered their very first loss.
And in birthdays, we've got a few this week. Ex-ECW and WWE wrestler Justin Credible turns 40.
Former TNA valet Karen Jarrett turned 41.
The legs of the WWE, Stacy Keibler, turns 34.
Former WWE legend Nikolai Volkov turned 66.
Current NXT diva, the third generation Raquel Diaz, turns 23. And the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, turns 68.
And in a special shout out, I'd like to wish my mother a happy birthday this week. She turned 48 this week. I don't always show it, but I do love my mother quite a bit.
Okay, well, hopefully you have a great birthday with your mum, and it's been great talking to you.
It's been great being on.
And in a New Zealand recap, we got 2 shows coming up. NZWPW's Right to Reclaim on Friday, October 18th in the Otaki Memorial Hall in Kapiti. Adults $15, kids $10. If you're not there already, you got to kind of rush down right now. Their main event is a Right to Challenge. SCW champion Rough Guts Roddy Gunn will be taking on Johnny Idol. Taylor Adams and NZWPW Tag Team Champion That Young Warrior Paul Sayers. We think Ben Mana will be defending his NZWPW Heavyweight Championship, but at time of recording, he does not have an opponent yet. Also got a few more singles matches chucked in with JC Starr taking on De Hoya, Adam Avalanche taking on Skull Kid, and Hayden Thiel taking on Osiris. There's also going to be a mixed tag team match with Thor and Stella Hammer taking on Mr. Silver and Misty. And then the day right after, Saturday, October 19th, IPW have their Nightmare Road Right to Reclaim from Linfield Rec Centre in Auckland. Adults $15, kids $8. Tickets from Event Finder or cash at the door. Don't forget there's a Halloween costume contest. Or if you really want to, you can get the Nightmare Road combo tickets for the next 3 events. It's $40 for adults or $20 for kids, and it gets you into all 3 Nightmare Road shows. We know that Jacob Cross and Aaron Henry will be defending their IPW Tag Team Championships against a team debuting in IPW rather than TNT, who they put a great show on with last time. We got Kingy taking on Ty Cade in a singles match. The number 1 contendership for Emmy Driver's IPW New Zealand Women's Championship, Evie's taking on Brittany. And in the main event, there will be a blindfold match for the IPW NZ Heavyweight Championship. Vinny Dunn with Steve Wrigley in his corner. Can't see how that will go wrong. Will take on James Shaw. So that's it for this week. Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. Visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling R Radio. And I'll see you next week.